Welcome, everyone. So, whether you're a longtime Affinity customer or joining us for the first time today, welcome. Hello. Today, you're getting the first look at what we've been building. So, this is a big product moment, one of the biggest in Affinity's history, and we have a lot to cover. So, let's dig into it. Here's our agenda. We're going to start with Affinity's vision and mission, where we're headed and why. Then we'll introduce Affinity's agent platform. From there, we'll go into a live demo of the agent platform, and then I'll walk through what else is new at Affinity beyond agents. And finally, we'll open it up to you for questions. In terms of who you'll hear from today, our CEO, Ken Fine, will kick us off with Affinity's vision and where the platform is going. Our CTO, Rebecca Campbell, will walk through how agents work and the trust model behind them. And then our product team, Jamie Schaefer and Tesla Thrope, will show the agent platform live. And then I'll close out with some additional releases we're really excited about. Quick housekeeping note, if you have questions as we go, drop them into the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen, and we'll get to as many as we can at the end. Now, to talk about what we've been building and why, here's our CEO, Ken Fine.
Thank you, Kristen. I'm excited to get started. Thank you all for joining our launch webinar. Let me begin at a high level and start with the business challenge that you're all faced with, and then talk about how Affinity is evolving to help you face that challenge and address that challenge. So I'll start with the world is becoming more challenging with respect to your ability to both deploy capital and return capital. And by that, I mean identify good opportunities, identify good deals, find good companies. When you do, compete and win those opportunities. So, make the investment, then grow those investments, and then move into an exit. Exits are more challenging. Identifying the companies up front is more challenging. Hence, the entire flow of capital has become squeezed, if you will, at the front end and the back end. Okay, and that business reality is to some degree exacerbated by the sprawl of IT and therefore the sprawl of data that all of you have to deal with, particularly now in the world of AI, as you're trying to figure out what are the set of data, systems of record, and IT capabilities, software capabilities, other AI applications that you want to build your technology stack on, that you want to build your AI strategy upon. And that's also something that we're going to be talking about today in our portion of that solution. Okay, now we're going to spend most of the webinar talking about how Affinity has changed and how we are changing, and at a rapid rate. I want to begin with the things that have stayed the same, the things that are not going to change. So our vision, which is to enable all of you to leverage your networks to be successful, that's not changing, whether that's your individual network, your personal network, or that of your firm. And that vision is in service of this mission, which is to enable all of you to identify great opportunities, so to find, manage, and ultimately close, and from there ultimately exit better deals and do it faster with less effort. So the vision and the mission remain the same. The way we're going to go about that and the way we're going to support you in that process is changing. So let's start with the starting point, the Affinity, historically, the Affinity of old. We began as a system of record with a relationship intelligence set of capabilities integrated into it. We were a SaaS platform, a CRM platform, and early adopters of some of the early versions of AI. We moved at SaaS speed with several releases per year, and we got our start in venture capital. So that's the original Affinity. The Affinity of today and the Affinity going forward and the Affinity that we're going to introduce is the following. We're moving from a system of record to also, so not instead of, but also a system of action. We're doing so through our AI capabilities, which we'll talk about in a moment. Those AI capabilities are tuned specifically and purpose-built for private capital, for your workflows, for your data needs. Our speed has dramatically increased. So we are shipping continuously. If anything, we're making it challenging for our customers to keep up with the rate that we're developing new product. And those capabilities are purpose-built not for venture capital, but for all the private capital. So that includes private equity, venture capital, private debt, and others. So that's the before on the left and the after or the today on the right. So what does that mean? Affinity is now an AI first private capital CRM that still leverages relationship intelligence at its heart, but does so in a much more powerful way. So let's dig into that. Now, I mentioned before moving from a system of record to also a system of action. So, what does that really mean? Well, a system of record is essentially a housing for data, a housing of information. And you can see along the left-hand side some examples of that system of record, which essentially include storing information and then searching for that information, whether automatically or manually. A system of action proactively acts upon that data. So identifying opportunities proactively, updating the CRM automatically, identifying relationships that perhaps are growing cold or could be a point of important leverage in a deal and surfacing those automatically. Recognizing that you have an external meeting and preparing the meeting brief ex ante, and then when the meeting ends, updating your CRM ex post. So transition from system of record to system of record plus system of action. So what does that look like? Four key pieces. The first you're familiar with, though it's been enhanced, and that's automatic data capture, automatic enrichment, automatic activity capture. We can do that better now with AI. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Our relationship intelligence has also been enhanced. So we have the next generation version of it using AI to do so to help you identify who knows who within your firm, what's the context and the nature of that relationship, and how tight, how well do those people know each other. Today, our primary focus is on number three. We're going to be focused on the agents that we are deploying and announcing here today that are purpose built for the workflows in private capital that help you leverage your team, get access to better deals, and execute more quickly. Now, a couple months ago, we announced the introduction of our MCP. We have also completely rewritten our API layer, and we are going to talk about some of that work as well today. Okay, if there's one takeaway from today that you remember, this slide, and I'm going to do it as a build because it's that important, is it. So we are introducing today our agent platform. The name of that platform is Ascend. At its base, at its core, at its foundation is still our system of record. Now that system of record has been and will be enhanced, if you look in the lower right, by a team or a family of data quality agents that are working 24/7, 365 to ensure that the data set is complete and the data is clean. On top of the system of record is a private capital tuned compliance and governance layer. So this is where we have largely rules around, and they're specific to your firms, they're configured to your firms, who should get access to what. Simply put, there are many versions of those rules. So think about these two pieces as your foundation. This is your system of record and your compliance. On top of that is your system of action. So this is Ascend. These are the agents that we are deploying. And as you can see, these agents map to your workflows. They map to the workflows of private capital from sourcing on the left through deal qualification, investment committee, etc. And you can think of each of these agents or agent categories as an orchestration layer. And underneath each one, underneath sourcing, for example, or deal qualification, for example, are a series of sub-agents that do more specific tasks. Now, a couple key takeaways here. First, all of these agents can be customized and configured to your firms. We understand that there are differences in how all of you do your work internally. Second, a more important or an equally important and strategic point, I believe that from this point forward, particularly in the world of AI, you're going to see a greater and greater divergence between platforms such as ours that are unapologetically focused on private capital and those that are more horizontal. So take a step back, look at this screen. This is a set of agents that capture the wisdom that we've gained from working with all of you and understanding your workflows, building those into a set of agents, which you can then further tailor to your businesses. If you're a horizontal platform, or if we are a horizontal platform playing in multiple different industries outside of private capital, this would not likely be a wise investment to build a number of agents that are so specific to one vertical or set of subverticals. But given that focus on our part, that is our focus. Okay, now I'm going to hand this off to our CTO, Rebecca. Rebecca's going to walk you through some of the specific agents that are going live now, and then take it from there. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Ken. I'm so excited to share our Affinity Ascend agents. So we're launching today with the 3 agents you see on the screen. Meeting Prep will keep your team prepped for any meeting. Warm Intros helps you map the fastest relationship path to any target in your network. And Data Updates keep your pipeline data updated after those meetings we just prepped you for. So these run on the data your firm has captured over years of using Affinity and on the data we've automatically captured back to the beginning of your inbox, your calendar, and other data sources that Affinity integrates with. These run where your team already works, whether that's inside Affinity in AI chat or via MCP in Claude, ChatGPT, or whatever AI tool your team has adopted. Ascend agents are designed by Affinity and customizable by your firm. So, how did we choose the starting point? We didn't set out to build 3 features. We set out to solve real problems for our customers. As we talked to more and more people, the same 3 problems kept coming up. That was true whether it was a 10-person growth investment firm or a global multi-strat firm. Associates and analysts spend hours every week on work that's critical to operations, but doesn't necessarily require that senior human judgment. What it does require is access to the right data at the right time. And that's where our agents come in, doing work that your team is already doing, and frankly, work most of them would rather avoid. So let's talk about trust for a moment. We built Affinity for an industry that handles incredibly sensitive data. Trust has never been optional, it's a core part of our product. And that's why we invest so heavily in trust, privacy, and security. Take our data update agent, for instance. We don't just suggest a field change and leave it at that. We show proof of where it came from, why we're recommending it, and how confident we are in the accuracy of our recommendation. Nothing in your CRM changes unless someone on your team approves it. And over time, you'll be able to dial that to be more or less automated, but we're not going to make that decision for you. Regardless of where you set that dial, our audit trail tracks the actions that Ascend agents take. So the open platform has been a core part of Affinity's product roadmap for a long time now. We know firms don't work in just one tool, and we're not going to pretend otherwise. Our customers rely on us for that data layer, the system of action the system of record that Ken mentioned. Agents, our system of action, are only as good as the data underneath them. We've got over a decade of relationship data, 22 billion interactions, powering all of these services and more. So whether your team is working in Affinity, asking a question in our AI chat, or running a skill in Claude, the same data, the same privacy, and the same controls apply. And I want to stress, Affinity does not share your data across firms, and we do not use your data to train models. That's true whether you're on our platform or off. Thank you so much. I'm going to hand off to Jamie for a demo.
All right, I know you're all excited to see Ascend, so let's hop right in. We'll start with our meeting prep agent. So imagine a very common day for you. You have 5 nearly back-to-back meetings today. You have a banker call at 8. You're meeting with your portfolio company to prep for the board at 10. You have an LP check-in at 11, a founder call at 12:30, and you're meeting with a new co-investor this afternoon. Your team doesn't have time to manually prep for all of them, so someone's likely going in cold. Ascend's meeting prep agent has already done the work for you. At Start Your Day, you can see briefs developed for you overnight with all of the information that you need to know walking in. So, for your founder meeting with Deal, our agent will call out
the status of the deal, mid-diligence. It will give you an overview of the company, the attendees, also pull recent activity and open items, including diligence calls and open items that require a resolution before you go to investment committee. Each of these briefs is unique and understands the context of the way that you work. So let's take a look at your banker meeting, which is going to point out different context. So this is a high cadence intermediary relationship with Morgan Stanley. You have a number of different contexts and relationships there. And pulling out recent activity, you can also see your team members working with other bankers at Morgan Stanley, like Kelly, who had a recent meeting on AI and machine learning startups. And these open questions and talking points focus on where you should focus the conversation for your upcoming meeting, including a startup opportunity that one of your colleagues recently flagged to a not over email. The output is a single brief per meeting. You can read it in 5 minutes, and it covers everything you need to know about who you're meeting with, who the company is, what the history of your relationship is, and brings recommendations on key topics to discuss. So, same agent, different meeting, different context. Your team shows up prepared on every one of them, not just the one that you had time to manually prepare for. All right, so you made it through the day, your stacked meetings, you showed up prepared to every single one, but now you've got 5 different sets of notes, and none of them have actually made it into updating your pipeline or other key workflows in your CRM yet. You say you're going to do it tomorrow, and tomorrow turns into Thursday or next week, and your head of platform is pinging you to ensure that you're prepared for the weekly pipeline update. Your VP is asking you whether or not this is the updated source of truth around how things have moved forward. You no longer have to do that manually. So our data update agent is tracking all of the meeting notes that are going into Affinity, whether using Affinity's note taker tool or pushing meeting notes from another preferred note taker via our API or MCP. What our data update agent does is identifies based on this note, what are the fields that should be updated in your CRM and makes a recommendation on those updates. So you can see this call with deal.com that we had earlier today. Here are all of the things that our agent has pulled out from those notes and recommends updates, whether those are on the company itself or specific to a workflow in your CRM. So you can review these updates, accept or reject the ones that you want to apply, and then apply updates. Our agent keeps a record of everything that you've done, so you can always go back and audit that, seeing what the recommendation was, what the suggested value was, and whether or not you decided to write that back to the CRM. So human is always in the loop when it comes to writing data into your CRM with Affinity's Ascend. Now your platform, head of platform no longer needs to chase you. Your VP doesn't have to ask. Your pipeline actually reflects what happened today, not just what you remembered or carved out time to log. You can see all of the agents that we have here. So we went over the meeting prep agent and the data update agent. These are what we will call monitoring agents. So these watch different event streams, whether that be your calendar that's syncing with meetings upcoming or meeting notes that have been added, and automatically push items to you, either for review or for approval. We also have agents that are more about ad hoc workflows, and Warm Intro Agent is one of those. So Warm Intro Agent allows you to find warm intros, navigating the information that we have in Affinity to be able to reach out to, for example, a management team. And so let's go through an example of you trying to reach a management team at, we'll say, Redox. You want to be able to get in before a deal is coming to market, and cold outreach just isn't going to get you there. So our intro path exists inside of your warm network, and the agent helps you find that path. Now, often there's multiple different ways to reach a company. Our agent is going to provide a recommendation, but also give you the information to help you navigate and explore and make a decision on which path you want to follow. So, a few different items the agent has come back with based on relationship strength scores and actual interactions that have happened between my team and the team at Redox come up here. There's also an inferred relationship based on one of my team members overlapping with someone at their company at UCLA. So I can come in here and say, I want to draft outreach to both Sasha, that inferred connection at my firm, and um, we'll go with Marta, who has a connection to the CEO. It was probably my best path in order to start talking about when they might be ready to go to market. So draft outreach to both Sasha and Marta about an intro. The agent will then take all of that context and write you the note so that you can easily copy and paste that into Slack, Teams, an email, asking for introductions so that you don't have to manually think and write that out yourself. So that whole workflow took less time than it would have been to write a broad Slack to everyone on the team, try and figure out the right connection. I can be really pointed, decide which direction I want to go in for my warm intro, and then our agent actually writes that outreach for me so that I can continue on and reach my goal. So that's what our agents look like in Ascend on platform, including the warm intro agent. I'm going to pass it to Tess now to show you how this looks if you prefer to work from Anthropic's Claude or OpenAI's ChatGPT in order to navigate some of these workflows and work with our agents off platform.
Thanks, Jamie. Okay, I'm excited to show you some skills that we have built in our MCP. And they scaffold common use cases that you all have and make them fully supported off platform. So I'll start with showing you how you can find warm intros using our MCP skills in Claude. So let's see here. Right now, I'm trying to find warm intro paths at the company Redox. So it's going to load the Affinity tool and find that warm intro skill and read that skill file. There it is. Great. It's going to look up the company and make sure that it can find that company in your Affinity instance and make sure it's the right one by matching it with the domain. And then it's going to start searching for those relationships. So it's going to pull all the relationships and it's going to try to find the top 10, looking at recent interactions and relevant job roles. All right. Then it's going to enrich the top 5 paths. Great. It confirmed that all of the 5 top contacts are still at Redox, which is great. And it's going to present me with those same warm intro paths that we had on platform, just in my Claude window here. And I can see Angela Parks has a connection with Johnny Haas, an investment officer. Great. And then it's going to ask me some next steps. So do I want to draft an intro request? Do I want to see it as a network math? Do I want to dig into one path? So I'm going to tell it that I want to see it as a network map. And what it's going to do here is we have an MCP app, which is just bringing the interactions that you'd expect to see in our platform right into Claude. So you can click into a path and start having those same interactions that you would have. There we go. In our platform, which is amazing. So this is a little window into our platform right here in your Claude instance. And I can click on Johnny Haas and I can see what the relationship is about. I could go visit his LinkedIn. If I wanted to explore other connections, I could. But if I click draft a request to Angela Parks, it just pops that right into the Claude window. And then our skill is going to help you draft an intro request based on your goals, your own tone. And if I have any messaging connectors in my Claude instance, you can actually trigger that intro request and draft that message right here. Amazing. All right. We have a lot of MCP skills that are coming down the pipeline. So stay tuned, and I will kick it back over to Kristen. Thank you.
Thank you, Tess. So, as we know, agents are the headline today, but Affinity is evolving across the board. What I'm about to walk through doesn't even cover everything. We've shipped more in the last few months than some companies ship in a year, but I want to hit the highlights because together with Ascend, this is a different platform than what you were using just a few months ago. First and foremost, MCP. We have more than 10 new tools added. We have AI agents that can now create company, person, and opportunity records directly in Affinity. They can retrieve saved list views, audit field history, create lists, configure fields, surface relationship data, and search notes across the firm. We also have 3 additional MCP skills shipping at launch: meeting prep, data migration, and event setup. And these are ready to use skills your team can run in Claude, ChatGPT, and whatever AI tools your firm has adopted. There's more surface area to build with, and it's wherever your team works. Next, we have new lists. We completely rebuilt lists. It has faster performance, one-click editing, advanced filtering, bulk actions. But here's the bigger point. In a world where agents are doing more operational work and the role of UI changes, this doesn't go away. It gets more important. Your team still needs a common workspace to see what agents have done, make decisions together, and guide the next step. And that's what Lists is. Not every person at your firm is going to adopt AI at the same pace, and Lists gives everyone a place to work regardless of where they are on that AI curve. And this is still the place your team runs the Monday morning pipeline meeting. We're meeting you where you already are. This is really built for how private capital teams actually review and act on their data. And it's faster to load, easier to edit, and purpose-built for your workflows. So everyone go check it out. Next, we have our LinkedIn connections import. So you can now upload your LinkedIn connections via CSV into Affinity. We have intelligent matching to existing records and new records created for unmatched connections. So LinkedIn is where professional networks are maintained, but Affinity is now where your firms can act on them. Now they're all connected within your Affinity instance. We've also made huge investments into our API, some of the biggest in Affinity's history recently. We have the new V2, and we've shipped over a dozen new endpoints thereafter. Some of the highlights are that you can now query your CRM in natural language through semantic search. So you can ask something like, find clean energy companies in London we've spoken to in the last year, and it just works. We have bulk field updates for companies and people, a new notes API that ties notes from any tool directly to the right meeting in Affinity. It's not just the person record anymore. We have relationship scores you can pull for any person or company, and a full audit trail on field value changes, including changes made by agents. So if you're building on Affinity or your team is using MCP, this is the foundation underneath all of it. Your MCP runs on this API, and every MCP tool starts as an endpoint. Last but certainly not least, we have Snowflake and Databricks data shares. So these are self-service setup. There's no custom API scripting. We've made it very easy for you. There's more than 20 data tables, including notes, transcripts, interactions, and relationship strengths, and it refreshes every 2 hours. So Affinity data becomes a live layer in your firm's tech stack, not a silo that requires manual export. And like I said, this does not even cover everything. We've shipped a new API version last week. We have new user and reminder endpoints. We have new drop-down management. So take a look at our developer newsletter for the full list. I would encourage your technical teams to take a look. And our focus is and always has been relationship intelligence. Everything that you see from us, agents included, is built to make your firm's relationships more visible, more actionable, and more valuable over time. And that's where we're headed. So we're looking at a next generation relationship intelligence release this fall. So everybody watch out for that. And some quick housekeeping to get started. If you're on scale, advanced, or enterprise, everything you just saw is included in your plan at no additional cost. Agents are live right now. Your admin can enable Ascend in settings under Affinity AI, under agents. You don't have to wait. If you don't take action, Ascend will be enabled by default on August 5th. So this means the meeting prep agent, the data update agent will start monitoring your team's calendars and meeting notes so that it takes off some of that operational burden for you. So know that even with these agents saving you time, your data stays exactly as private as it is today. It's siloed to your firm, and we never share across firms, and we never use your data to train our models. We'll also be sending a follow-up with everything you saw today, including additional use cases, getting started guides, and links to the resources we reference. But in the meantime, visit our new Affinity site for Help Center articles, workflow walkthroughs, and deeper dives on each agent. If you are not yet an Affinity customer and what you saw today resonated, request a demo. We would absolutely love to show you what this looks like for your firm. And if you are a customer, don't wait until August 5th. Go talk to your admin, get Ascend turned on, and start using it today. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Ken to close us out. And while he does, start dropping your questions into the Q&A function if you haven't already, and we'll get to as many as we can. All right, over to you, Ken.
Thank you, Kristen, and thank you, team. I'd like to wrap up by reminding everyone again from where we started to where we are today. So again, Affinity, when we began, primarily a system of record, a SaaS platform with some AI layered in, moving at SaaS speed and built for VC. The Affinity that we just shared with you today and going forward has moved from a system of record to also a system of action. We're doing so through a family of agents that are purpose-built and specially tuned to private capital. We're moving at extreme speed, shipping continuously, and all of these capabilities work across private equity, venture capital, private debt, and others. Thank you all very much and enjoy Ascend.